Hi everyone, and thank you for tuning into my videos. This particular one, I wanted to talk more about the 3 soul levels, but particularly the primal soul within this video. Now, I felt it would be important and helpful for you all to have a foundation level of videos solely focusing on those main topics that are really needed to understand the occult or magic, or really spirit in general. I'm hoping that through these it will give you all a good solid base knowledge of everything that is needed to know to really conduct your own healing and to create powerful magic and essentially create the life that you desire most, as well as learning the occult, learning all of its aspects in a easy to understand video series. So with that being said, the first 3 videos that I'm going to focus on are the 3 souls. Now, these 3 souls exist within us at 3 different levels, and they can be sectioned off through the knowledge of the chakras. The primal soul deals with those first 2 chakras, the root and the sacral, just to give an idea. But before I even go into that, I wanted to just touch on the fact that there is an importance with understanding these 3 different souls and how they operate within you, as well as bring everything in your outside world to you, because everything that is going on within is seen on our outside world. Now, these 3 souls can be seen throughout history, throughout our traditions, throughout our pagan traditions, and also you can see it within modern religion and Christianity. Now, these 3 souls, how I'm going to be describing them is the primal soul, the ego soul, and the holy soul, or the higher self. But just to draw parallels, in Norse mythology, they are known as the 3 Norns. These are 3 women who live under the ash tree Yggdrasil, and essentially what they do is take energy threads and connect them to people, to places. These are the weavers of fate. And they weave the past, the present, and the future, creating all of our experiences and everything that we know to be. In more neo-paganism, for example, Wicca, we see them and know them as the maiden, mother, and the crone. And as I mentioned, in more in Christianity and those sectors, we know him as the Son, the Father, and the Holy Ghost. So this whole level of 3, this whole symbolism is important. It is important for the simple fact that it is going on within us, and we use these whether consciously or unconsciously. Regardless, they're there, and using them consciously will greatly benefit your life. Now, with that being said, in this video, we're going to focus primarily on the primal soul. Now, as I mentioned, with the 2 chakras, it being predominant and owned by, it gives a lot of perspective of the energy that we're working with. This is earth energy and emotional energy. In Indian mythology, it is known as the serpent, and it lies dormant and coiled within our root chakra, until essentially we have that awakening moment. And with that awakening moment, essentially is when you become enlightened. It wakes up, and from there it makes its ways through the chakras and your energy systems, cleaning them out, bringing them back to balance, and things of that nature. And essentially from that point on, you choose to gain in awareness, gain in consciousness, and really use that to however you choose. It is also known as the child self, as I look at my notes. But I first wanted to talk on it a little bit about being associated with your unconscious and your subconscious mind, because it's very important to know why that is the way it is. So it's associated with those realms because essentially it's everything that's kept from view. It's those thoughts and those emotions that we are very unaware of. To give this an example, when you were younger, perhaps your parents really drove into you a particular way of thinking or a particular way to view things. Now that viewpoint becomes a part of you, and you take it generally into your adulthood. Whether that viewpoint serves you or not, it's still there. And sometimes these can become so ingrained into us that we're not even aware that they may or may be hindering certain things. They may be drawing those certain things that we would rather them not draw. If we are unaware of that, this is the subconscious mind that we are talking about. It's those thoughts and those emotions that we have no greater awareness of, generally because they are such a part of who we are. Now this unawareness is where spirituality and all of its esoteric learnings teach you to gain awareness of this. Gain awareness of these thoughts, of these feelings, and to go within. To essentially go within yourself, go within the darkness, because through the darkness you will find the light. And what that really talks on is going within yourself to discover those lost aspects of your soul, those fractured parts of yourself that through trauma or whatever the case may be, you've separated yourself. You've completely disassociated with in your mind and therefore are not aware of those. Now the interesting thing about the Primal Soul is it deals with everything that is animalistic and instinctual. So all of those survival instincts, it's focused on sleep. What am I going to eat? Sex to keep the species going, and security. Now, the interesting thing about that is that's generally what society wants to keep hidden in general. When we start to talk about taboo subjects, or we start to talk about those really animalistic parts of ourselves, it's kind of that society wants to no, let's keep that over there. Let's not bring that up. That's too TMI. Let's not. But that own refusal to accept it and validate it is the exact action that suppresses it, keeps us from wholeness, and really, when suppressed for so long, it begins to go deeper into the subconscious mind, and without shadow work and healing, it becomes our shadow selves and those dark aspects. Now, it wants validation, it needs that. It needs to express itself, and if it's not doing that, it's going to act out. Generally, it does that in ways that'll get our attention, whether that be anger, hatred, that's just the shadow aspect of it. You know, there is a shadow and a light to each of the souls, except for the higher self, which is just pure consciousness. But it generally acts out in those to get our attention. So we'll gain an awareness of, okay, where'd that come from? It's time for me to go within to see where that stems from so I can heal it and become more whole. I wanted to, of course, my main focus in all videos that I do is magic and manifestation. So I could not leave this video without talking about the importance of the soul and a little bit how to use it in your own magical practice and how it operates in that realm. Now, this is the soul that is connected with earth and emotion. So emotion is all about our imagination, and magic is short for imagination, or I should say magic and imagination are like one. So it is the powerhouse of manifestation. It is in your aura, the outer edge of it, and it is responsible for all that you feel. If you've ever had it happen where you were sitting somewhere and you felt like someone was staring at you, and you couldn't necessarily see them, or but you felt it. That is the primal soul operating at its finest, operating on that outer edge of self. And through that, you're feeling that. It's responsible for picking up energies, bringing them to you, as well as pushing them away. Now, it also holds the life force. This life force that we use when we are working with psychometry or psychokinesis or telepathy. Those thoughts that we think, because remember, thoughts and emotions, it's all in that realm. Those thoughts that we think that we're sending to individuals or to objects, to animals, it's operating on the threads, those life force threads. And a psychometry, which is essentially that psychic ability that you can hold an object and know what has happened to it in the past, and picking up different images and things of that nature. It's essentially using that energy thread, using the feelings that are coming to you and picking up via the feelings, the life force, and really picking up on what's going on with that object. I mentioned it was the non-reasoning mind because essentially it's the child self. It just knows to feel and to act. It really needs that conscious self to help imbue it and to teach it, essentially. And in magic, we will often, sigils is a good example of that. Conscious mind using sigils, a way to program the subconscious mind to bring things into manifestation. Because it's non-reasoning. It doesn't know, right or wrong, or it's the garden. Whatever seeds you plant in it, it brings into manifestation because that's how it operates and that's all it knows to do, essentially. So, to give an example of this body working at its finest are the fire walkers, those individuals who walk on like 1,000-degree coals barefoot. Their rituals speak a lot of how well you can train and use this body. Essentially, they're all about building it up, building those emotions, bridging that gap between belief. When you feel something so much, you believe it. You know it to be true. That's working with the primal soul. when you believe something so much, it becomes true, that it manifests. And with them on that whole level of belief, they are able to walk on those coals harmless. Walking on the coals harmless, without being harmed. So that kind of shows as an example the power of working with this body in magic, and its a potential and ability to manifest things, and how you can use it on a very psychic level. Really working with it and understanding it within yourself is key, pinpointing it. And it's all connected to feeling. So when you feel a certain way, you're working with the primal soul. So I hope that gives an idea of the soul in general, how you can work with it in magic, as well as its importance, and when suppressed, it can turn into our shadow selves, and from there implementing healing to bring that soul back into consciousness and back into validation, so it's operating in tandem with the three souls and at a healthy level. So next video I will be talking more on the conscious self, that ego soul and all its components. But until then, if you have any questions for me to address, please leave it down in the comments. I will see you all in the next video.